Hello, and welcome to the Dive In. I'm your host, Kathleen. Today, our guest is one of my best friends, Akash. Hi, say hi, Akash.
Hi there. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I today have my favorite thing, really good coffee, brought to you by me. I paid for this. This is from Little Owl in Denver. If you want to sponsor me, any coffee companies, I will drink your coffee.
You can send it my way as well, because I also enjoy coffee, but I don't get good stuff like Akash does, because he is a fancy coffee maker, and I'm
I
very
feel like
jealous.
it's a millennial thing. We just need something to give us the will to go through the days.
Mm,
And
yeah.
featuring my Scar mug, Disney, please give me money.
Do you have 2 cups of coffee there?
Absolutely, I have 2 cups of coffee right here.
What does it say? Long live the king.
It 100% says "Long live the king," and then I have a geometric scar on this side.
Oh, that's
He
cool.
just he was a very good villain. Like sometimes villains try to do too much, and he was just like, "I want to take over the kingdom."
I mean, yeah, he did a good job.
Less is more,
Um,
man. Less is more.
All right, yeah. So today we were going to talk about the movie Monkey Man. It came out just about a month ago. It came out March 11th. I thought it was came out a
Has
lot.
it been a month? I thought it was like very recent for some
I thought
reason.
it was more recent as well, but that is what the internet told me. So
I
the
I believe the
internet
internet.
the internet has been known to lie.
I
So
I've never heard of lies on the internet. Reddit would never lie to me.
oh, yeah. No, you're right. Reddit is the source of truth. So, hey guys, Future Kathleen here. I do want to clarify the internet did not technically lie to me, but I definitely misspoke. Um, Monkey Man premiered at Southwest on March 11th, but it was not officially released in the US until April 5th. So that is why we thought that it had only been out for like a week because it had been at the time. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the show.
My
Yeah.
guests in my house are Zero, a little puppy pitty right here. And
Yeah.
then if an Australian Shepherd comes running by, that's Blaze. They'll be in and out of here because they own this house.
Yes, Blaze is the only reason why we're friends. So, so I
The
better
truth,
see him.
the truth comes out.
Well, honestly, if he was in view, I would have been like, my guest is Blaze and his owner Akash.
I would have
But
changed my name. I would have changed my Zoom name. It would have been fine. I am very excited to talk about this movie, though.
yeah.
This movie was, I think people that have seen it, obviously spoilers ahead and such like that.
Oh yeah.
But this movie was great. It was an old school revenge action movie. Like
Mhm.
at the core of it, it was like revenge action movie, reminiscent of movies from our childhoods and older action movies. I feel like now there's a
Mhm.
lot of they look at all this backstory and thing and this, and we gotta have cars exploding and like driving off a thing. Whereas
Yeah.
this was like
Way more
I
practical.
need revenge on this person and I'm gonna do it this. And it straight up, this man broke through doors. Like there was no like, let's sneak around and try. It was like, I'm going to murder you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he was very straightforward with that. So that was
It was very good. I apologize. That is my headphone.
that was my fear. I was like, that looks very tight.
It was fine. It was fine until I like
Got
was
expressive
got expressive, but it'll be
from all that
good.
espresso. Um,
All the espresso, but I do
espresso
have
from
two coffees.
espresso.
But no,
Yeah,
it was really great. How did you view the movie? That was my synopsis of it.
yeah, no, I thought it was awesome. Action, I watch a lot of movies, you know this. And
Yes.
action is honestly, it doesn't say much, but action is one of the lowest forms of movies that I enjoy watching. That again does not say very much because I enjoy all movies.
Yeah.
So,
Just like a ranking of genres for you. Yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit lower on the totem pole, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. I really, really enjoyed the way that he did it, and all of the action sequences were like I was there, I was ready for it, and I wanted
Yeah.
more. Um, and so it was very entertaining in that way. And it, like you said, it is very reminiscent of like those older action films. Um, I did not grow up on them though. I just know of them from honestly more from like pop culture references or references in other movies, video games, and stuff like that. Because I didn't grow up watching those kind of movies, but I still was able to recognize that style. So that was cool.
I I loved it because the stunt coordinator of this movie
Mhm.
actually like loved martial arts growing up. He became a stuntman, lived in Thailand, and he worked with Jackie Chan and Donnie Yen.
Oh
So he
wow.
worked with the guys that like really popularized this. So that's why those the stunt scenes in this they hurt. Dave Patel broke his
Oh
hand and his toes in this movie. Like in
yeah.
the first fight scene, he actually broke his hand.
Jeez. That's
And
insane.
I and like I'm clearly an Indian man, so this is the first real time in Hollywood we've had an Indian action star. And
Hmm.
I'm so glad it is Dave Patel because he has done fantastic other movies. Like the man is just an amazing. He doesn't say too much in this movie overall. Like he has
Yeah.
quite a few lines, but like it is still emotionally like draining to watch the guy. Like you are
Yeah.
like, I am in pain for you, bud.
Yeah. And speaking of like Dave Patel, like this was his directorial debut. Like this was the first thing that he's ever directed, and he
I
wrote and
saw he
starred in
directed it.
it.
I didn't know it was
Yeah.
his first directorial
Hmm.
debut.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, I think he did a great job.
Yeah. I,
Considering, yeah.
I'm really glad because there are reminiscent parts of it to the now very popular John Wick series.
Hmm.
And in the movie, they even tease that. Which when he goes to purchase the gun, he's like, "Oh, I got the John Wick." And it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're just doing this. We're just going full meta."
Yeah, I mean, I had read that like he was inspired by it. For some reason, I thought it was like by the people who did John Wick
Mhm.
from the advertising, but I guess I was completely wrong when I did my research.
So
It
did
had
I.
nothing to do with it either.
They were just inspired by it, which
Yeah,
they
yeah.
even did some of the lighting coordination in the John Wick movies. When it's on John, it'll be shades of blue and stuff, and when it's like
Hmm.
fighting, it'll change the shades of red. And they
Hmm.
kind of did certain things like that in a few scenes in this movie. But this movie was a lot of like blacks and reds already,
Yeah.
and even the like fake blood they used was reminiscent of Bollywood movies actually. Like
Hmm.
because if you remember like a lot of TV shows and such in the Hollywood media and stuff, blood can sometimes look really watery.
Hmm.
The blood in this movie was very grainy. Like it was like dirt and stuff like that was like put into it or something to make it like look a lot more. And it looked real. Like
Yeah.
it looked like someone that did MMA and stuff like that. It looked like he was bleeding.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. There was something that I had read, and I didn't go very deep into my research into this, but I guess like it took them a while to get this movie off the ground until they finally got Jordan Peele on board, which is why Jordan Peele, a Monkey Paw production company, produced this movie, which was really cool to find out.
It is really interesting because I assume it was very difficult to get this. Obviously, we don't know the backgrounds and stuff like that. We can't like go talk to Dave Patel and things like that. But he was inspired by Lord Hanuman, like Sri Hanuman, one of the gods in Indian mythology, the
Mhm.
monkey god in Indian mythology.
Yeah.
Very big in Hinduism, and he is prevalent not just in like one religion inside of India, but in countless of them. Like everyone
Hmm.
knows Lord Hanuman, and it is amazing that he was able to get a movie that has like Indian mythology and Hinduism ties to it, like made at all. Because if you look at Hollywood, that's not really happened before. Like this is the first one I think that really had as much of this in it than anyone. Like it. I believe there was a. It was by. There was an article, and the line I have written here was, "This is a feat that no one else has achieved," is what was said by I think the Hindustan Times,
Mm.
an Indian website, and like the kind of like the New York Times.
Yeah. When I was looking last night, I don't even think it's been released yet in India. It keeps being pushed and then saying like coming out soon instead of I don't know that it's going to be released. It's um
Which is weird. I think I
yeah.
saw something like that. I'm certain it'll come out. It might, but like usually, like this is not a small movie
Yeah.
by and large. Like I understand it doesn't have like the production of like a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that like gets released at the same time everywhere and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But like
Yeah.
this is quite massive. Like it's a
Yeah.
movie inspired by the Legend of Hanuman, where we don't actually learn his name.
Yeah.
Like the main character, I think they just label him as Kid.
Yeah. Yeah. At one point he calls himself Bobby, which was just because of the
Yeah,
bleach that was sitting in front of him that said Bobby's
exactly.
bleach.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it just goes by that.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's just Kid, and it like is very reminiscent of the Raid movies, if you got to see those, which are like
Mm-mm.
a Korean action movie that was made, and it did not have a large production by any means, but the action in the Raid really blew up. In fact, they even invited two of the stars from Raid into the third John Wick movie.
Oh, okay.
Like they had a fight scene in the third John Wick movie from the Raid. Like it is amazing, but like I really like action movies.
Yeah.
I don't think I've liked a lot of action movies in recent years. The John Wicks, of course, those were amazing. But a lot of action movies, like serious action movies, are not
Hmm.
common. A lot of times they're action comedies.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I've probably seen more action comedies than like actual action.
I think
I
we
like
all have.
I haven't even seen like I'm transparency here. I haven't even seen John Wick.
That's we'll get there. We'll get
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. But that's like it's uncommon for me to not see something on that scale of popularity. So it's kind of I don't know.
I'm a big
One of,
fan, like of action movies, but yeah, I mean they're not a common genre that's released nowadays. I feel like.
yeah, not unless it's a Fast and Furious, but even that's been turned into like complete comedy, over the top, just complete
Yeah, I mean they'll make
craziness, terrible green screens, impractical things. Yeah.
those forever though. They're making billions of dollars. Like,
Oh, yeah, no, because they just had one out of three movies that they're making a new trilogy that they just started, and they left the last movie off with a cliffhanger, and there's supposed to be two more movies.
I watched it on an airplane. I watched it on an airplane without headphones. I just was
I'm,
reading subtitles the whole time.
I'm so sorry.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I went to the premiere of it, so I didn't have to pay, which was kind of
Oh,
nice.
you see that, guys? That's why Kat has a movie podcast. She gets to go to the premieres of things, whereas some of us have to drink coffee that they had to pay for themselves. Coffee companies
Okay,
looking
it's
at
not like I
you.
got invited or anything. I just like went on the website and got the tickets before they were gone. That's all.
No, fair enough. How did
Yeah.
you view the Hanuman storyline throughout this movie? Because obviously, like you wouldn't know it firsthand. Like I was
Yeah.
raised into it, but how did that translate for you?
Yeah, so I feel like I like I had a lovely group of people in the audience with me at the movie theater. So I feel like there was a lot that I missed out with when it did come to the dialogue because party to my right, party to my left, love to be on their phones, talk. One party was actually playing music.
Oh,
They were playing music. I was like,
are you
we're in we're
serious?
in a movie theater. How are you
That's
playing?
absurd.
Yeah. So I tried my best to hear everything that was happening. But I did catch like the in the beginning the story that she was telling about how Hanuman was like ate the sun because he thought it was a mango and he got punished because of it. And they said that like he had lost his powers. Which and then it immediately picks up to
Dave Patel.
yeah, to Dave Patel where he's fighting.
Mhm.
So I was just from the like that story alone, I was like, okay, so this is showing Hanuman at his lowest, I'm assuming, based on the small portion that I've been given. So I'm assuming that the kid's character is at his lowest right now.
Mhm.
So I was kind of like wondering, like, does the story like what his actions that he takes is that supposed to be reflective of what happens to Hanuman? Or is that just an assumption that I'm making based on that one
So
little part?
it's really interesting. The story of Hanuman going for the sun does exist. That story is real. However, there are many different tellings of how Hanuman's stripped of his powers, but it's not even him stripped of his powers. It's more of him stripped of his memories of the powers.
Yeah, and that's when I was doing my research, that's something that I learned because like I'm pretty sure she says that he loses his powers in the
Hmm.
movie,
Yep.
but when I was reading the story, it said that oh, he just lost the memory of his powers. Because I was like,
Yep.
okay, well, how does he get his powers back? Is like the one thing that I was wondering about the entire time. Because at the end of the movie, they were talking more about Hanuman about how he like helped them win a war, I believe.
Yes, against the Demon King of Raghav. It's part of the Ramayana.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah. So
Hanuman.
I felt like I like missed like the middle part for Hanuman
So they didn't
as
actually
far as
tell
that
it.
goes. Okay.
They more alluded to it. They utilized him in, as you said, as a form to show what the main character is going through. At his
Mhm.
lowest, going up, and the Demon King Raga being Baba Shakti in this movie, but he has his the guy that actually killed his mother, Rana Singh. He has to defeat him as well.
Yeah.
But as we see in the final parts of it, that fight is basically nothing. It's just Kid kicking Rana's butt, which is awesome. Love that. Love me a clapping a villain without even blinking. Loved it. I was like ready for
Yeah.
a big fight scene, and then he was like, "You ain't got nothing," and I was like, "That's what I'm talking about." I was like, "You can't even touch this."
Yeah.
But Hanuman, so he lost his memories and such, and because he lost his memories of his powers, he doesn't actually know the powers he has. He knows he's
Mhm.
stronger and such. But Hanuman was a mischievous kid, which a lot of like the Indian avatars of these gods, like Hanuman is an avatar of Lord Shiv, um, and Shiv and Parvati, as we saw in the temple. Parvati is Shiv's wife, but she's also the female version of Shiv. That's how
Mhm.
it works, because like there are both masculine and feminine versions of both these gods, which is awesome. And so Hanuman is an avatar of Shiv because the gods can't just intervene directly and such like that. So an avatar of Shiv, they both exist at the same time.
Yeah.
And so Hanuman eventually leaves the forest and like learns and sees the world, and he meets Sri Ram while Sri Ram is young, and he realizes he should be praying to Sri Ram and such like that. And so when Sri Ram is going to fight the Demon King Raga to save his wife, Sita, Hanuman joins. Hanuman joins and becomes very prominent and powerful, and like, how are you going to beat Hanuman? The man can lift mountains and fly and stuff, but he doesn't know that yet. He becomes um, an older man
Mhm.
at this point. And so the time that Hanuman remembers his powers, at least as I remember it, is when they need to cross the sea to Lanka, the city of gold, where Demon King Raghav is. And they're like, well, how can I get there? How can I do this? And eventually people were like, Hanuman, you can do more than you think. Remember what you can do. And that's when Hanuman flies from India to Lanka to meet the Demon King Raghav. He meets Sita and finds that Sita is deserving, is beautiful, and he should be praying to Sri Ram and Sita. So Hanuman is very much like, after the mistakes of his childhood, a very much selfless man, um, fighting and doing whatever it takes for Sri Ram and Sita, because he views them as good. And
Mhm.
in the context of Ramayana, he is like, I know Baba Shakti says, "Oh, Raghav was a businessman. He like built this and built that." I'm like, that's great. He also kidnapped a princess. He also kidnapped a princess and like murdered many people. And I understand it was war and such like that, but like it was very clear from the beginning that Baba Shakti was the bad guy in this movie. Like he was doing like eco terrorism and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. They I don't know. It was interesting that the way that they portrayed him, because I felt like he was kind of like a B character, but he ended up being the main person that he had to fight at the end. So,
I
um,
think that's what it was. It's because the person that Way sitting at the top of the tower, because he was literally at the top of the tower,
yeah,
is not the person that gets their hands dirty.
true.
So Rana was the character that got his hands dirty, and I think it was to show like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like it only takes one person to get up there. Like Hanuman flew into Lanka, allowed himself to be captured, was brought in front of the demon king Raghav, and Raghav was a devout follower of Shiv. The
Mm,
demon king Raghav was a devout follower of Shiv, and he was like, "We'll just set your tail on fire and like we'll burn you," to Hanuman, and Hanuman's okay. And so Hanuman, when they go to burn his tail, makes his tail grow. And so they're like, "Oh, okay, we got to walk over there." Makes it grow again, and eventually, like they set it on fire or whatever, and he just starts flying around Lanka, setting the whole city on fire. Yeah, I was like, man, you mess with the wrong monkey god, man. But no, it was that. It was like Baba Shakti says, like if you ignore this one problem,
hmm.
it'll become a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And it did. Like they ignored the when he raided it the first time. The second time he came in with a posse,
Yeah.
which was awesome. I was very excited to see the depiction of trans people in this movie,
Hmm.
because that is they exist in India, obviously, and there are different terms and words for them from older texts and such like that. But how they were treated in this movie is not false to like certain parts of India and such like that, which is and certain parts of the world even.
Yeah.
So I was glad that they got to have a face in this movie, honestly. Like I
Yeah.
thought that was really awesome.
No, I thought that was great representation and like just showing it just even from a different cultural perspective. Like we know we have issues here, but like it's nice, not nice, but like it's good to see that like it being represented in more than just our country because sometimes we forget outside of our own world.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
It was really cool to see that, and it was really interesting because in this movie they don't really like explain anything. They don't just like give you an exposition dump, which
yeah,
I'm really tired of movies doing. Like I'm watching the movie. I'm like they had a little like background newscast of the trans community and
hmm
the temple, and then they show up, and I was like, awesome, this
yeah,
makes sense. There is foreshadowing, like
yeah,
Chekhov's gun. Don't if you're gonna show it, use it.
yeah. hmm
Like I was a big fan of that. What about you? Like I know, like I can tell you all about the stories and stuff, the Indian mythologies. Like, did any of what I say like translate us to like parts of this movie and such like that? Because Hanuman saving Sita is not for him. Like it's not like a romance thing. It's just the right thing to do for the other person, kind of
Yeah. Oh, you're making me like process stuff on the spot.
thing.
My brain does not like to do that. I like to take notes and have time to think about it. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's definitely parallels. But I think I like that, like you said, that they don't explain the middle part of the Hanuman story, and they just kind of like they show you the parallels in the beginning and the end, and we're there to put it together in the middle.
Mhm.
And like that's something I assumed, and I'm glad that I assumed correctly, and that
Yeah,
I didn't just
absolutely.
I was like I just missed dialogue or I missed like because I know when he was up there with the final boss, like they had stuff on the wall, and so I was like, am I just not interpreting what's on the wall correctly because I was oh what movie Midsommar. They had like I don't know if you ever saw that. It's a horror
I'm
movie.
not. No, no, no,
Okay.
not.
It's a horror movie with Florence Pugh and very strange movie and you're kind of like lost at the end and I had to watch one of those videos that explains everything. And the end of the movie, it turns out like they had all this, the entire story painted all on the walls about what's going to happen to them and why, but they showed it for like splits of seconds. So you didn't have enough time to intake it and understand like, oh, okay, this is foreshadowing. This is what's going to happen. Like you had like no time to like process that at all. And so you literally had to have the DVD and pause it and look at scene by scene to see why this is happening and what's going to happen.
That is insane. Wow.
Yeah. So like for this, when they were showing the wall, I was like, am I getting everything? Am I missing the story? Because I was like, do the walls tell me the middle? Was something that I was wondering.
I took it as when he first like stormed the tower and he
Mhm,
failed. I took that as the parallel of Hanuman setting Lanka on fire
mhm.
because it's not the end of the story by any means. Like it's
Yeah,
still the final battle still to come. But like that's what he did. He basically started a fire in there. Like he had beat some people up. He got stabbed. He like hurt people. He did all this and he left. And
yeah,
he's being chased and all this. And then when he comes back, it's like we're just doing this now.
yeah,
We're just doing this now. And
yeah.
he even painted the monkey mask white because Hanuman was more of a fair-skinned monkey.
Okay, I was wondering about that. I thought like he had changed the mask or something for uh I guess to like I thought he was yeah, actually I thought he just switched masks to be more related to Hanuman.
Yep,
Um
yep, just a symbolic, just a, like literally straight up imagery of Hanuman. And I thought he was gonna keep the mask on longer, but he was like, "What's good?"
that's literally written down in my notes. Like he immediately took it off. I was like, you should have at least like gone through like most of the fighting with it on. And but you know,
Yeah, no,
that's just
like
preference.
literally, I was like, "Okay, we're going imagery. He's gonna beat people up with this," and
Yeah.
he's like, "Let's throw hands right now." Like it
Yeah.
was the no breaks. He showed back up and he's like, "We're just gonna do this." Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like. There's no sneaking. I'm going to walk in the front door and beat people up until I get to you. And I was like, my God.
Okay, well, let's go back to like the first fight scene because there was only like
Sure.
main like huge action sequences, and they both lasted large
A
parts of
good
the
portion.
movies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so like the first one is obviously he uh locks the
Bathroom. Yeah.
yeah, locks the guy run into the bathroom. And then just goes for it pretty much. Um
But he wasn't prepared then. We saw like he was still
oh
hesitant. He's like, "Can I do this?" Like he had
yeah.
not killed a single person yet.
Yeah. And I
And it wasn't until his escape that he actually like did.
yeah, and I mean, I liked that they didn't have someone who could kill every single person that came across him immediately just off the bat. Like, I kind of enjoyed that he was weaker, that he couldn't go through with it. But yeah, like I mean, they went from what did they do? They went for the bathroom and then he finally had to like run because the guy was overtaking him. Like he was able to like hold his own, but like he wasn't gonna
No,
defeat him by any means in that moment. So he had to run. He jumps out the window.
he tried
Uh,
to at least that plexiglass
you're
window.
right. You're right. He tried to.
I laughed, man. I was like, oh, ooh, oh, because I
Yeah.
was like, have you ever run like head first into something and it did not move? Because I totally have.
No, I don't think I run into a pole. I
I
guess
just
that
like
works.
there was like a glass door in front of me and I just didn't realize I walked straight into it.
Oh no. Ooh.
Yeah, walked straight into it, and the door was fine. I was not.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to remember what happened after that. So he unsuccessfully does not go through the window, and so he ends up he runs out
He's
another. Oh, he broke the fish tank, and then went
yes.
through to the other side and came out the other door. Yeah,
Mhm.
which was interesting. Does that mean that if you look through the fish tank, you could see the women on the other side?
I think the fish tank was in part of the bathroom. I think the fish tank was towards the window that he couldn't break. Then he had to go back through or like down like a weird staircase thing, if I remember correctly, because
Yeah,
people were coming at him, so he had to go down this weird staircase.
yeah.
And I forget if the people at that point had guns. I forgot if they had, or I
I
think
don't,
one
I
or
don't,
two.
I don't think so because they couldn't go into that club with guns.
Yeah, I meant the bodyguards and such like that, but like maybe they were just
Maybe
knives. Like I thought one or two of the guys had guns, but I could be. I could.
I
There were
can't.
so many. There were so
There was
many
so
like
much.
random. There were so many
Yeah,
random bad guys,
yeah.
and
Um,
it was really cool watching it. But it was like it was watching someone that doesn't know what they're doing.
yeah,
Like it was clearly his first attempt at anything this serious, and like it
yeah.
wasn't like he was in good shape. Like he wasn't making enough money clearly at this like fighting underground pit fighting thing he was doing, and he was getting beat up every day. Like he was the heel. He was the heel in this,
Yeah.
and so watching him escape, like you're like, are you gonna make it, dude? Like, are you gonna get away? And then
Yeah.
like, and then he's like, what? He gets all the way to like the back alleys. He steals the rickshaw, the
Yeah.
sped up rickshaw of whatever the guy's name was. He was important for like 30 minutes and then he stopped being.
Alfonso. Yeah.
Alfonso, yeah, who's a cool character, but
Yeah.
like they just like kind of like built him up and then just let him go.
Yeah. Yeah, he was there for like comedy relief, but I don't feel like we really needed comedy relief for this. But he was also what got him into the VIP lounge and what got
Yeah.
him to where he needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But they did bring him back towards the end a little bit, but it was kind of like, okay, he's there supporting him and cheering him on while he was fighting. But yeah.
It was really interesting with the sped up rickshaw, which was cool,
Oh
very
yeah, it
cool.
was a cool
But
car.
yeah, when he got taken though, like by the police, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is not. I was like, okay, so we're gonna have like a prison sequence. Maybe he'll get
Nope.
and we'll have a time skip. And it's like, no.
No.
And then he finds another underground club in this city. Like,
Oh, the guy with the axe. Oh,
yeah.
that poor
Oh, yeah.
just
He didn't
walking
make it.
by. No, I don't think
And it's
so.
like you bring police to my place, and it's like I clearly didn't mean to, man.
Yeah, no, he was just trying to
There was no explaining himself. There was no explaining himself to anyone, and no
Yeah,
one was gonna
no.
listen.
No, no. He screwed them over by showing up to to their place. But he didn't know
Oh
what it
yeah,
was going in. So,
no. And then like he does. He gets like and what? He got shot twice, and then he's in a river. Like
Yeah, he got shot and then he either fell or jumped into that river and then
wakes up in the temple.
yeah, wakes up in the temple. But
Which like what a cool sequence that was in the temple and such like that. Like just like there were when they were just like playing music and stuff like that. Those are called tabla. The drums he was using, those are called tabla.
okay.
They're used a lot in religious music and stuff like that in India as well. And they're used at temples, different Hinduism, Swaminarayan, and all kinds of stuff inside of America as well. So when I would go to the temple growing up, like that's what they would play music on.
Oh,
So that was really
so
cool because like I was like that man was playing it. That was not like he was doing the beats.
yeah.
So that was awesome. I thought that was so cool. The Murti is like the relief, the actual statue of Shiv and Parvati that was
Okay.
split. I've never seen a Murti like that. I thought it was so cool. When they first cut to it, I like didn't understand what was going on. I was like, this looks kind of strange. And when they explained it, I was like, oh, I was like, that's dope. What did you think of that full action sequence? Because that was a solid like what 10, 15 minutes from like beginning to end of that action sequence or something, like when he wakes up in the temple.
Yeah, no, that was actually it was a very long scene. I was actually I thought more time had passed. Because I remember looking at my watch, I was like, oh, it's gotta have been at least like and we're an hour in the movie, we're like halfway through. No. Like
No.
I like looked at my phone, I was like, whoa, that was not as long. Like so much happened in such a short amount.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, retrospectively for a scene for action, that's a very long time, but it's like so much happened that it felt like more time had passed.
Yep.
And I did think it was interesting, like just going the way that they immediately jumped in. Like they showed him and his mom telling him the story of Hanuman. We see him fighting. He's like kind of a loser. He gets his works his way into this club, works his way up really quickly in this club. And then like we don't see any planning. We don't see like a turning point like today's the day that I'm going to do this. We don't know why he decided at this day, at this age, that now's the time that we're going to kill this guy. Like he was just like, all right, just goes in there and just starts doing it, starts trying to get his revenge. So I think that was like one point that I was a little lost on me. I was like, he's probably my age, maybe a little bit older, and he was a kid when it happened. So like, what was during that time frame? Why now? And how does he know that this guy still goes to the same club? Because they show like in a past sequence, like they show like he has I think the lighter has the symbol from the card that Queenie has.
Yep. The like
Um,
was it a lighter or was it like a
or a
matchbox or
matchbox or something. Yeah. But it has the same symbol. I was like, okay, so this police officer who looks almost exactly the same, has been going to the same club for 20 years.
hey, I'm just saying, Indians age pretty good. Like that's what it is. Yeah, but like he like the man was the police chief now because like beforehand he probably wasn't years ago, but now he's the
Yeah.
police chief. And
Yeah.
so they very quickly in passing in like one sentence, Alfonso goes, the police are the most like are the worst out of all of them, and
Yeah.
that's it. Nothing more said. It's just like the police are corrupt. We're moving on.
Yeah.
They were like, we're not going to tell you more. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
that's what even with his backstory, like I agree. Like I was like, okay, we're gonna get like a lot more flashbacks. We really didn't.
No, no, we didn't
Like
see
we
like
got the story of him and his mom, what
mhm,
happened to his mom, which they'd already cut to a few different times. They just
mhm.
finally put it all together, and that's it. They're like from when his mom died to the beginning of this movie, we got nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I like the idea of it, but I feel like part of me is just like, but what was the turning point? Like why now? And that's like a big thing that's like in my mind.
I I think all they refer to is like he's like he doesn't he didn't sleep well ever, and he
Yeah.
hears the voices. He hears the voices all the time because like we see in like leading up to the first massive long action sequence we spoke of,
Yeah.
um, he gets these like shakes, like his hands start shaking, and like he literally at one point needed to run out of the club
Hmm.
to breathe.
Yeah.
And then he quickly trained a dog to like carry
Yeah.
a gun to him, and
I was
I was
like,
like, what? I
yeah,
was like, can
that
you
was
train my dogs?
I know. I was kind of like, wow, what luck that there just happens to be a dog that wandered his way through a fence that no one noticed and no one cares that the dog is there and now you have time to train it.
And we never see the dog again.
Yeah, we never see the dog. I mean, thankfully, I was afraid someone was gonna find the dog and be like, "Oh, this is your dog," and then something happened to it. So I am grateful for that.
Yeah, the amount of death in this movie. If they had killed the dog, I would have been like, I'm not happy about it, but like I get it. There was some there were some allusions to like Bruce Lee moves and such in this as well within the action sequences. Like there was
Mhm.
allusions to like Bruce Lee and such like that because I know Dan Patel's a big Bruce Lee guy. I think we all of us were Bruce Lee kids and such like that when we were like looking at action movies. It's one of the reasons I got into martial arts as I did. Like you just want to do the thing like all the other cool people were doing.
What did you think? Um, so what are the things that I also am like not really problematic, but like I wish that they had included a little bit more of the MMA fight sequencing. Like we started with it, like they showed it in the beginning, they showed it in the end, and a little bit in the middle of no, sorry, they showed it in the beginning, they showed it in the end, and that was like it. Like we had two scenes where he was in the ring doing his MMA fighting. I wish it
He
had been a bigger part just because it was in the beginning. I thought he would be in that mask more, doing more
mhm.
along those lines. Like maybe he would have seen the cop in the audience, and that's what sparked him to like do his next thing, or to start with his revenge. But yeah, like what are your thoughts on that, on those scenes? And
It was interesting because I thought we see him in this ring and we understand he's the heel, but I figured he would be a good fighter. And I understand he was
mm,
throwing the fights. I get it.
yeah,
But it's like if you were just a better fighter than all these people, like why didn't you just win?
yeah,
Like he could have just bet on himself in the first place earlier because he was like in the first real scenes, like he's like, oh, this isn't enough money. But you could have gotten enough money. Like
yeah,
if you had just done that before. But also like in like and Dave Patel was in good shape. Don't get me wrong. Like he was in good shape for this movie. But like he's not like he wasn't like huge. It wasn't
yeah,
like Chris Evans in Captain America. Like he had a fighter's physique. He had a fighter's muscles.
yeah,
There was no showing off. It's like I need to be as quick and as like precise as possible kind of thing. And I do like kind of wish there was more of the fight scenes in the ring. But after watching the whole movie, there was already so much action sequences. I think they
yeah,
just had a pick and choose kind of thing. And it's like because the middle, not even middle, like the first action sequence raid of the club, and then the final were like massively lengthy fight scenes. And
yeah,
like when they did the top down, like one scene, like uncut, like just action underneath, I loved that. I thought that was one of the best shots in the whole movie. Like I
yeah,
loved that thing. But like I would have loved more fighting. I'm always down for more fighting inside of a ring. But I think it was like one of those like maybe it was cut, maybe they didn't film it, but it seemed like it was supposed to be a super integral part. And then that
yeah.
guy, the Gerard, the Australian business, would I call him a businessman? Like
I think that's what they literally call him, an Australian businessman, Gerard. Yeah, that's what it says on
have it open over.
IMDb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
have it open. Yeah, Australian businessman.
yeah,
Who was great. That guy was a great actor.
yeah,
Like you very much thought he was a sleazy guy because of how good he was at acting.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, like he just did not care about this kid at all. And like he's your heel. You want to make sure he's like healthy, and don't you want him to win a few fights so like people are like happier when he loses?
yeah. I mean, if he's always losing, why would he be doing this? Like, that would be my thought as like, um, sorry, I just had a thought about the Jaguars. But like, completely,
Out of nowhere, Jacksonville Jaguars, Shane, out of nowhere.
I have no pride for my own team. Uh,
Okay, well, now you said it. What was the thought about the Jacksonville Jaguars being a heel?
well, because I was gonna say, like, if he keeps losing, then why would anyone want to like, come watch him lose? And
Oh,
the Jaguars just flashed in my mind.
there was one guy in like when he came back and he was like knocking everyone out. That went um Jay Bajrangbali. Bajrangbali is another like term for Hanuman. Like Bajrangbali is another term for Hanuman. A more like I don't want to say casual, but more of like, and I don't want to say informal, but a more
Yeah.
like relationshipal thing. Like it was like Jay Bajrangbali, and when he said that, I was like, yeah, that's my guy. He gets it. And then everyone starts cheering Monkey Man, and I was like, I thought they'd start cheering Bajrangbali. Like everyone would just start doing that, and more allusions to Hanuman and such like that. That way we can get you away from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh man.
Yeah, I don't need people hating on me. Uh.
Oh no. Oh, that was fantastic. No, but so why? So you were saying you wanted more of those fight scenes
Yeah.
in the ring. How would you have like added more of those? Like, is there like a part that you saw like here this could happen or here this could be there?
I think like part of my thinking was that because we started with it, I thought that a lot of the like build up and the tension and like showing him getting better and like possibly even fighting these guys within the ring. I thought that somehow like the ring would be more important than it was. Like I thought maybe this person who he ended up getting revenge on was it turned out that they went there all the time, or I thought it was gonna be something along those lines. And so I think in my mind, like I already had like seen that opening scene, I got a preconceived notion, like, okay, this is gonna be important. And I mean, it was in the fact of him fighting, but that's not even where he was training in the temple, and that's where he got
Yeah,
stronger, and not in the ring. And while the ring was able to help the temple later on, but it didn't. It just wasn't to me. It didn't seem quite as important as I thought it was going to be.
I I see what you mean. I think they incorporated the MMA aspect into it in the training montage
Hmm.
because like that was a very good parallel to a lot of the current MMA fighters and such like that. Like that's how they had to train, like with
Yeah,
random bags of things and such like that.
yeah,
And it was interesting to watch him because you saw him like not having understood, and then the gentleman on the tabla like getting into the beats and such, and like it was really reaffirming to me because it
mhm.
is if the audience can't tell, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm Indian. If you can see this video, as you can see, I'm a tan man. There are not many other like brown actors really growing up, especially that I could look at and be like, oh man, like here's a guy for me. But
Mhm.
like in that training sequence and in this movie, Dave Patel gets to be an action star and he
Yeah.
gets to be in great shape. There are literally men and women, trans men and women, what like men and women like cheering him on, and when he takes his
Mhm.
shirt off, like catcalling him basically in this temple, and I'm like, that's awesome because
Yeah.
there are now going to be a whole generation of like Indians, just brown people in general, like to look at this person and see, hey, this guy looks like me. I
Mhm.
can try and be like this and stuff like that instead of like adding to like look at Marvel movies or whatever and be like this is just like not like the Caucasian standard is what it was in Hollywood. Whereas
Yeah.
like now we have black actors, we have Indian actors, we have Asian actors that people can see and see themselves in as well, which I
Yeah.
thought was awesome. I thought that was great. I don't think Dave Patel potentially knew how important this movie is to like so many like
Yeah.
cultures and such like that. But just that scene, because I've never seen another movie where like females and males are catcalling or like screaming because an Indian man looks good in Hollywood.
Mhm.
So that was awesome. And
Yeah.
I saw an interview with him that an older gentleman came up to him and he said, "I'm really glad my son has you to look up to in
Mhm.
this." And I was like, "That's awesome. That
Yeah.
is great." This movie is at the end of the day, it is an action movie. It did not have a massive budget or anything like that,
Yeah.
and I am so happy that it is a closed chapter. Though I do not need Monkey Man 2. I don't need it.
So
I
you feel
thought it
like
was.
it's a closed chapter? Because there's a debate
I
going
think
on
this.
that it's not.
What is the debate?
Because it doesn't show what actually happens to him at the very end. Like it cuts off as he's falling.
Yeah, it just like ends. It just
Yeah.
ends. But like, what more does he need to do? I
God.
feel like his story's done, right?
We don't know his full story. We only got one little glimpse, remember?
I mean, it's true. There could be more bad guys. I just feel like if they just did not make Monkey Man 2, if they put Dave Patel as another character in another action movie, totally
Yeah.
fine. But
Yeah.
I feel like this, start to end, I feel like we've got a closed story. Like
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me
I
wrong. There's
No,
enough money. Make a Monkey Man 2. Totally understood.
yeah, no, I mean, I just know I know that people like to make money, and if it's gonna
It's
get
true.
money, they'll make a second one.
This is true, but like
Whether it
it's
makes
also
sense or not.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean like if Dev Patel directs it again, I'm in. I'm all
Yeah.
in. If he, but like you know how it goes. Like sometimes like even the main stars and stuff are like, why do we need to make a second one? We told a good story, and then they make a second one with different people, and it never
Yeah.
does as well. Like the Scorpion King movies, like they've
Oh,
had 3 or 4 different actors play the Scorpion King,
wait, the Scorpion King.
the offshoot of the Mummy, like Brendan
Oh,
Fraser's
I thought
Mummy.
I thought there
They
was
have
just one movie because there was the one with The Rock. That's the only one I know of.
oh no, okay. I'm going to read you the titles of the Scorpion King movies. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for
No.
this?
No.
The Scorpion King, April 19th, 2002.
That's the one
That's
with
the
The
one.
Rock.
The Scorpion King 2, Rise of a Warrior, August 19th, 2008. The Scorpion King 3, Battle for Redemption, January 10th, 2012.
This had The Rock in all of them?
No, just the first one. The Scorpion King 4, Quest for Power, 2015. The Scorpion King, Book of Souls, 2018. And coming up in the future is an untitled reboot. Because in November 2020, a reboot of the Scorpion King film series was announced to be in development.
See, I told you if they think something's gonna make money, they're gonna make it. But I did not know that that was a thing going on. I know they remade The Mummy because Universal wanted to redo all of their Universal monsters, and it flopped.
Yeah, I know they want to do
But
like a well that there was a lot of movies like that.
yeah.
But Dracula Untold was supposed to start off a dark multiverse of like monsters,
Mm,
ghouls, and such. Which I thought Dracula Untold was good, but that's obviously because I'm a nerd and I like Dracula. Like when I had my
yeah.
long hair, I just looked like Dracula from Castlevania series. So I was like, this is what it is, man.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
I,
Uh,
I I didn't realize there was a debate going on already about a sequel for this. I was like, I thought it was I think maybe I'm just burned out on sequels. I
oh
maybe that's what it is.
no, I am as well. Like I want like a closed circuit for a little while. Like let's stop making remakes, let's stop making sequels, and let's just focus on just making something good and entertaining. Like
That's what it is.
it doesn't even have to be Oscar worthy. Like let's just make something fun and entertaining. And like if you're having a good time making it, we're probably gonna have a good time watching it. That's just how I feel about
Oh
movies and
yeah,
films.
I
And yeah.
this Monkey Man, this movie did not let you breathe. Like
Yeah.
it was like, and even in the action sequences, it's like action sequence, and then we're gonna chill, and you're like, oh, it's over, and then it comes back, and you're like, oh, okay, we're doing this. All right, we're just in this.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
we were on this whole storyline, and at the end of it, like when he like breathes out and falls over, and like the credits roll, I went like this. I was like, oh, I was exhausted. I felt for this man so much. I was like, this man in the span of, and I don't know how many like months passed in like this, or weeks passed in the span of him starting his job to like getting to the
Yeah.
VIP room, and then obviously like a little while had to pass in his training arc, but like
Yeah.
I'm assuming it wasn't like a year or anything because there
No,
was an election going on. There was an election going on.
yeah, like I don't think that much time had passed because like as far as like the news goes and everything, like you said, the election was going on and they had enough time to fix the club, seemed like,
Yeah,
because it was fully functioning. So that much time passed, but they also probably had enough money to get it done like in like 2 or 3 days. So
I just looked up Monkey Man 2,
yeah.
and already they're like, if it happens, they'll introduce new characters, but could feature returning roles for Dave Patel, Sobita Dulipa, and Carlotto Copelli. Copelli, so that those would be the recurring characters of Kid, Alfonso, and Sita.
Mm,
Oh, I did not realize her character's name was literally Sita. Okay,
yeah.
well, okay. So if they did do one, they could introduce a Sri Ram character, but like they've already beaten Raga because Baba Shakti was Raga in this story.
Mm,
So I don't know. I don't know how they do it unless they had the gentleman that was running for office be the bad guy because he's alive. He
yeah.
wasn't part of the revenge. So I,
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I hope they bring Alpha back. I would love if the Temple came back because they were awesome. And when he stole the money from the box, like the donation box, I was like,
Yeah.
"What are you doing, man?" I was like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, I knew
And
what he
then
was doing right away.
I did not. I did not
Really?
until they brought it. Hey, come down. I did not realize that's what he was going to go do. I didn't think he was going to go make
Oh,
more money. But when
I
he
thought it
when
was
he went,
obvious because it
it
showed the
was.
news about like they were like, oh, we can't afford to pay this, and then it showed the
Mhm.
news clips, and so then he took the money, and so I was
Yep.
like, oh, he's gonna go make them more money.
I did not. I was there was no brain power working anymore. I was in this movie. And so when he went to do that, I was like, yeah. And when the fight started, I was like, all right, we're gonna get an awesome fight. And then this man knocked Viper out in a millisecond. We were just like, we're good now. And brought the next guy out. And then they got, I'm assuming one of the world's tallest men. I'm assuming
It's
that's
gotta be, yeah, because
like that
yeah,
was amazing.
yeah.
Like, is he in the IMDb? I would like to
Um,
be able to say the gentleman's name. It was really good though. But this was like, I know we've been saying an action movie, but this was a hardcore action movie.
yeah.
Like like
No, it was. We haven't even gotten into like the final action scene yet either when they were doing the levels.
no
Yeah.
no let's talk about
You want to talk about that? I
yes
I do
yes
want I do want to comment. So like, obviously he goes into the club and we see him progressing up levels till he fights the final boss and Rana. I think like when he was on the first level, I had a moment where I was like, this reminds me of Kill Bill. I think like Kill
oh
Bill 2,
yeah
because like she's just standing there and it's just waves of people that she fights, and then another wave comes, and the same thing was happening there, and I was like, this is very reminiscent of that. And I'm sure that's also reminiscent of other things. I just have not seen them. But I did want to point that out because that was like a thought that I had like immediately.
it was really interesting because like he fights his way in.
Yeah.
And it was almost like superhero-esque because he shows up with the white mask, the
Yeah.
Hanuman mask, like a superhero wearing the mask. It's an image of Hanuman. It's an image of just like a mythic superhero. And then like a guy in a mask, all this. And we're in the we're like in a post MCU world now. There's been so many superhero movies. There's been so many things,
Yeah.
and they always have these masks and things like that. And when they take it off, it's one of those, oh, they're human. But like this one, it wasn't like he wore the mask and he started fighting. He's like, here, I'm showing up, and he takes it off, and it's like, it's just me. There was
Yeah.
no backup. He didn't know backup was coming. He
Yeah.
just went in, and this was not a thing he was gonna survive.
Yeah.
Like he had to know that. This wasn't like a John Wick like Kevlar suit. He showed up in a basic nice black suit and then he went for it.
Yeah.
And he's using random knives from the kitchen. I thought he was gonna pick up a cleaver, and I was like, yeah, yeah, bring the cleaver in. And he's like, I'll take the nice tiny knife and put it in my. I'm like, what are you doing, man? You
Oh,
could have had a
he
cleaver.
put the knife right into his like the front part of his pants. I'm like, sir, that is not a safe place to put
Oh my
that.
god. I was like, this man has no fear. I'm scared of a zipper hurting me over there. And like this man's like, I'm just gonna stick a knife in the front of my pants. And then he uses them right away. It's not
Yeah.
like he saved them for like the final battle.
Yeah.
No, he gets into the elevator and he's alone. He's alone and he goes up
Yeah.
and he comes up and the elevator opens and a man falls out of it
Yeah.
and people understand like people start freaking out.
Yeah.
Like they're like, we need to get out of here. And then he starts shooting off firework rockets at people, and I was like, that's what's up though. That's so cool. I was like, what is he making these arrows for? Are they gonna set fire? No, they're literally fireworks hitting people in the face.
Yeah. No, that was great. I don't know. I guess he just had a shortage of weapons and was just like, this is gonna do. So let's
Well,
go.
he had
Yeah,
used up all of his money on that first gun.
that's true. That's true.
On his
Yeah.
first gun, and he had to buy the bullets because he had to practice and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Um, which there was a lot of imagery with art and paintings in this movie because you had in when he was practicing shooting, he had that art of like the old Bollywood movie, and then as you said, in the final sequence, you had the beautiful art of the final battle of the Ramayana, which was a massive war.
Yeah.
And in this, he's expecting no help. And eventually, like, it's him in the VIP area with
Yeah.
all of these men in suits. And you're just like, okay, this is about to be crazy. And then the elevator dings, and you're like, more enemies? And like, and here comes out Alpha and the squad. And
Yeah.
they are not barehanded. They have like sickles and scythes. And I was like, oh, oh.
Yeah.
Because
They
he was
went
like,
for it.
because in the training montage, you see him showing some of them how to like punch and fight and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's one of those like, did they just always know how to do this? Like, because they were
Yeah.
jumping around. It wasn't like casual. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just swinging like a bat. It's like there was skill here.
Yeah. I'm surprised. It's one of those things where you're like, okay, wow, what great timing. Because how did they know how long he'd been gone and where he went and all that stuff? Like it's
Like,
like,
did they talk? There was never a statement,
yeah,
but like
like
Alpha
push a
said,
button, and they show up.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad they didn't make Alpha a pieces from within character. Like they were like
Yeah.
pieces from within and such, but sometimes you need to destroy stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what a badass. I was like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm just referring to them as Alpha because I don't know if they were a trans man or a trans woman, and I think that was the point.
Yeah.
But like, what a badass character, man. Like,
Yeah.
because clearly they'd gone through all kinds of discrimination and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they weren't starting fights with anyone. They were like, we're just at peace. We're like a safe haven,
Yeah.
and they knew like this, like Dev Patel was going through all kinds of stuff, and decided to give him like psychedelic drugs. Which, you know what, dope, awesome. Glad you have a psychedelic tree to root that does stuff. I have no idea what that was. I don't know if that was DMT or what they gave this man,
I
but
honestly
it
forgot
worked.
about that part, but yeah. Yeah, no, I
Yeah, it was like, how can we see the backstory of this character? Psychedelics. And then like it just popped off. Like, what did you think of like the lead up to the action sequence? Because like that last action sequence wasn't until the last like 20 minutes or 30 minutes of the movie.
I enjoyed the whole movie as a whole. It's one of those things where I'm being like really nitpicky, where I'm like, well, how much time has actually passed? Do we have enough time to go from like the weakest person in his like MMA to being able to defeat the strongest person to turn the entire audience to be on his side? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how much time has passed? And I think it's like you had mentioned earlier that like a lot of it was just like in his head. That like he always had the strength, he always had the power. He was just holding back because he was second guessing himself. And that's something I never even considered. I was just like, where'd you get the strength from? Like, where, like, yeah. So like just being a nitpicky, like realistically, I'm like, how did that happen? But
Yeah,
um,
because it like the parallel I said with Hanuman, it's like someone was like, "You've always had the power, remember."
yeah,
And so then he did, and then we go back to the first scene where he's in the ring, and
yeah,
instead of getting punched and hit,
hmm,
just ends it, just
yeah.
bam.
Yeah, and that's actually where he finally because in the beginning MMA scene, the Gerard, our Australian businessman, kept telling him like you need to act more ape-like, and he wouldn't. But then like when he finally was in that second MMA fight or the second sequence of it at the end, like he went for it fully. Like he was really getting into that character of
Yeah,
being and yeah.
but he wasn't the
Um
heel. At that point, we knew like
yeah,
this is the hero,
yeah, yeah,
and like
100%.
he finished that like that was a full circle hero's journey kind of moment. It's
Yeah.
like we had the character development, and it
Hmm.
wasn't us watching Iron Man build his like Iron Man suit in the thing. It was very much like you don't have to lose anymore. Like because beforehand, it's like no matter what he did, he had to lose,
Yeah.
and so that translated into his character in the club. He had to lose because he was the heel.
Yeah.
And so after Alpha and everyone, he was like, "Oh, I'm the main character. I
Hmm.
have plot armor." And so he goes for it, and like I would say, like when I don't even remember the lady that like got him the job, like
Queenie?
Queenie, yeah, yeah, yeah. What a dumb name. Queenie shows up like shooting and like obviously gets murked, and then he just like uses a plate and like cuts off her like thumb or whatever. I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh,
oh, I
yeah.
was like, how sharp is this blade? People are serving drinks on this. And
I
then
saw that. Then he puts it in it, like he takes it, it takes her thumb, and
yeah,
then we don't see it for a couple minutes. I'm like, did he actually, why did he take her thumb? And then like like, because usually when
yeah,
you see a scene like that, they use it right away. But it was
right
like a
away.
little bit further down
Yeah,
the line. I was like,
I was
what's
like,
going
let me
on?
have this.
Where's the thumb? What are we doing with it?
That was
Yeah, and he just pulls it out of
insane.
his pocket. Yeah.
No, but it's like, oh man. And then so he goes up, he uses the thumb or whatever to get to the. No, he uses it after the fight with Rana because
Yeah.
he can get to the room with Rana, and he
Yeah.
gets set up, and you have this whole build up, looking around. Rana gets into position, and
Yeah.
then gets his ass handed to him.
Yeah. Like immediately.
Yeah, and like there are so many emotions within that because it's like this is the guy that killed your mom, and he
Yeah.
wasn't holding back by any means. And like at the end when it was just like rage hitting this guy, I was like, yeah, yeah. But like this guy was supposed to be like this big bad thing, and he could beat him with his hands tied behind him back at this point, and that's
Yeah.
got to be a weird kind of feeling. And I think they translated well in that sequence. I thought the stunt direction was very well done because it was like, yeah, he was a better fighter than him, but Rana still got some hits in and stuff like that, and so that was really good. And so I think they did so well with that and everything like that. But like leading up to because that's it. Like the Rana fight, there wasn't like, hey, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to be able to do this, etc. It was like it's done, and he didn't stop. There wasn't a moment to like pause. He went
Yeah.
straight up the room with Baba Shakti,
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
he had
Which that, by the way, that elevator's opening and that moment where he's standing there, the which shows us what was on the poster, that was
yeah,
such a good, I don't know. When those elevator doors opened, I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is what's in the poster. Usually, like you see something like that on a poster and
yep.
it's not in a movie, it's just like something they created. No, it was what was on the poster. I was like, this is incredible. This is so cool.
One, Dave Patel's a good looking dude, and
Yeah.
two, he looked terrifying, man. He
Yeah.
was like, I am coming for you. And
Yeah.
then Baba Shakti, I figured he was gonna be all talk and all this and like a
Yeah.
cult leader. That's what he was. He was a cult
Yeah.
leader.
Oh yeah.
And so he's doing this, and I'm like, okay. And then when he drops the sandals with the stabbies, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like it was insane. But
Yeah.
like at the end when he's begging for his life, I'm like, yeah, yeah, you are a bitch, kind of thing. But no, I thought it was great from start to end. We had character development, we had action sequences, we had everything. And I thought
Yeah.
it went really well. I don't think in a long time there has been a straight up action movie that has kept my attention like this.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed it. As somebody who, like I said, does not typically watch action movies, like I thought it was yeah, I thought it was great.
It's been a few days since we've both seen it at this point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it is still like we were talking about. I scene for scene, I basically remember this movie, which
Yeah. I
I'll put this on this rating. I'm gonna start a new rating for your podcast. I'm gonna get the DVD. How much did I like this movie? How much did I like this movie? I'm gonna buy the DVD.
Hey, that says a lot because my DVD collection is like, well, pretty much all Spider-Man right now. Those are the only DVDs I really have, that and The Mummy. So that says a lot.
Brendan Fraser is an icon, and anyone that says otherwise can go away.
Yeah, no, I agree. He can do no wrong, or he has done no wrong.
I'm really happy that this was the movie that we decided to watch and talk about. I am excited to
Yeah.
see what next movie. If anyone listening has movies, I've seen almost none of them, so please let me know. No, no,
Okay.
thanks for having me on for this. This was a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
yeah, definitely. I guess until next time, outro out.
Outro out. Like
Yeah.
it's all of that.
Hello. Hi, Leela. Bye, Leela.
That happens. I didn't expect her to come in, but I got an Indian chocolate, guys.